this team, everyone's going to look at it as a underachieving year, okay? And that's fine. Some will. I'm not that way. Am I disappointed? Absolutely, I'm disappointed, okay? I love Ohio State. I know everything about them individually as players. I don't miss anything, especially when it comes to articles, reading up online, everything, all the ins and outs of that team. I am a part of it. I'm obviously all in when it comes to Ohio State football. And people are going to scream at Ryan Day. People are going to say this. People are going to say that. But listen, people didn't give him a chance in this game. You understand that? There's a lot of people out there that did give him a chance. There's a few people that knew what was up, and that was Las Vegas, and that was shown by the spread, okay? They felt Ohio State was going to be right there, and they were exactly right. So final score ends up 42-41. Again, a tough one to swallow. Some of the final stats, what a shame. C.J. Stroud was absolutely outstanding in the game. He was 23 of 34, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. He closes out his career with an unbelievable performance. Dallin Hayden ended up going 9 carries for 43 yards. And Stroud, who we said everyone had been clamoring for him, that he had to run the football in this game and use his legs. And using his legs was one of the biggest reasons they were able to get into field goal range to have an opportunity, okay? He ended up going at 34 yards. He actually had 12 carries today. So he did exactly what he needed to do all game. It's a shame. We saw one of the best statistical quarterbacks ever at Ohio State end his career today, and it really, really was a rough one. So receiving-wise, Emeka Egbuka, he ends up with 8 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, Marvin Harrison, his stat line was just as he had in the first half, 5 catches for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a horrible, horrible break for him in that third quarter. Julian Fleming also, I thought, did a great job today. 5 catches for 71 yards. Total yards, Ohio State had 467 yards of offense. So, again, for a defense that is supposed to be so vaunted, okay, Ohio State did a great job today, putting up 467 yards and 41 points. On the other side, Stetson Bennett, he goes the same exact stat line almost as C.J. Stroud. He goes 23 of 34, 398 yards, 3 touchdowns with the 1 interception. McIntosh goes 5 carries for 70 yards. Edwards, 8 for 58. Smith, that was rushing for Georgia for the most part. Smith had the big plays. He had the 3 catches for 129 and the huge touchdown. Bowers was basically held in check until late. He ends up going 4 catches for 64 yards. McIntosh also being extremely dual threat as Georgia is. 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. Mitchell, 3 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. Total yards, Georgia had 533 total yards. So basically, guys and ladies, whoever may be listening, 467, 533. The stats are almost identical. It was as even, Steven, as the scoreboard says. The only one thing is you had to pick that resulted in 7 points for Ohio State. So, again, it was about an evenly played game as you could. Georgia was able to make one more play. Actually, really, they didn't make one more play. It came down to a field goal, and Ohio State had a shot, albeit it was a 50-yarder. And again, I'm not going to sit there and harp on it because Ruggles missed a 50-yard field goal. Those aren't automatic, guys. They aren't automatic in the pros. They aren't automatic in college either. So, yeah, very disappointing again. I'm proud of the way Ohio State played. The whole idea of Ohio State being soft, I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of hearing it. Okay, they showed tonight they could play with anybody. And I mean, really, Georgia's roster and Ohio State's roster, the only difference between the two is Georgia has one more 5-star and they have one more 4-star than Ohio State. That's the difference between the two rosters. and that's how the game was played. The biggest difference, though, is Ohio State didn't have 2 5-star guys, basically Smith and Jigba all year, and you don't have Trey Henderson, obviously, for the game, who was also a 5-star. So that hurts you. It really does. But what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go down through. I got a bunch of comments here. I'm going to take a look. I'll highlight some of them, and we'll see what we can find here. I'll talk about them, and we'll go from there. Go back up to the top here. Yeah, I mean, 60s guys. I mean, yeah, the Bucks deserve certainly. I mean, you heard Kirby Smart after the game. Ohio State deserved to win the game. He knows. He absolutely knows they got away with one tonight. They got away with one. There's no doubt about it. He knows they got away with one, and but again, it is what it is, and you just got to tip your cap. They made one more play. We had a chance, and that's all you can ask for. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game, Billy. And again, Ohio State for the last 5 weeks, all they heard is how bad they were, how soft they were, how Georgia will just absolutely run up and down the field on them. Okay, that's not what happened tonight. Okay, Ohio State came. They put forth 60 minutes, and that's all you could ask for as fans, as a team. Because guess what? It doesn't matter what any of us feel or how we think, guys. It's about those 150 guys, players, and coaches that are behind those doors, all right, and those walls. That's who it's down to, all right? And I'm proud of what they did tonight and how they handled themselves. They came out and played their ass off, and that's all we could ask for. And again, Ryan Day said it. We're going to lay it all on the line. Whatever happens when it's over, we'll live with it. So I got to live with it too. We don't have to like it, but guess what? That's exactly what Ohio State did. Yeah, I know there were some comments up above. I mean, I'm not gonna mention it. Somebody had mentioned up in the comments they want Ryan Day fired. They want Jim Knowles fired. I mean, guys. I mean, give me a break. I mean, you think? Okay, I go back and forth with this. I don't know how many times. All right, I don't know how many times I got to go back for this. Who do you want to get at Ohio State? Okay, don't tell me Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is in the NFL. He is not leaving an NFL job to come and coach at Ohio State where you have to deal with recruiting and NIL right now. He's not leaving, okay? So there are no other top candidates out there that you're going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, let's get rid of Ryan Day. Who are you going to get? That's what I want to know. Mike Vrabel is not coming to Ohio State to coach. All right, so everybody could just take that out right now. All right, now you guys want to get my blood pressure up? That's what gets my blood pressure up right there. Hearing guys talk about firing Ryan Day. Forget about it. It's not happening. All right. Just bear with me, guys. I'm trying to read down through some of these here. Again, you want to sit there and cry about it. I'm not going to sit there and cry about it. I'm just going to tell you, okay? I've seen less targeting calls called, okay? So all I could say is for all the UGA fans out there, all you guys talking shit about how you were going to kick Ohio State's ass, all right? It took an absolute miracle to win the game for you, okay? So don't sit here and tell me about crying about it, all right? You beat an Ohio State team, which we're missing their two best receivers, their best running back, all right? It took everything in your power, basically a home game, and it took a 50-yard field goal late to beat Ohio State. So don't sit there and give me this cry about it, all right? I've seen other calls less than that call for targeting is all I'm trying to say. I mean, guys, you know, it ain't about the referees. Listen, Ohio State, you know, again, they played an outstanding game today. They left it on the field. I told you, everyone expected Ohio State to get run out of here, and that's not exactly what happened. So. Yeah, Mike. I mean, again, like I said, you know, I'm proud of the way Ohio State played tonight. Okay, they left it out there. They left no stone unturned. Okay, they left it out there, and that's all you can ask for as an Ohio State fan. All right, they left it out there. They played their balls off. They did everything they could. Okay, to win the football game today. And with 54 seconds left, they still had a chance. They were able to get in the field goal range, and that's all you could ask for. No, I mean, you know, I'm reading some stuff on here about the game being rigged or whatever. I mean, you know, come on, guys. I mean, there's nothing rigged about the game. I mean, Ohio State played as well as they could play. You know, again, you know, CJ played great. Finally ran the ball, made all the difference in the world. Dave blew the game, gets too conservative, panics, stressful situations. Again, I told you I wasn't excited about the run play, the handoff late in the game there. You know, I thought they could have still taken some chances, but then again, you got to remember, no Marvin Harrison, all right, who absolutely bludgeoned Georgia all night. Okay, bludgeoned Georgia, all right. So you had Egbuka and you had Fleming. You had Xavier Johnson, who's playing both running back. He's playing wide out. You have now Joe Royer, who hasn't played all year, okay, as your tight end. Cade Stover's out. So there's so much going on there late in the game that you can't say somebody was conservative. You only can play with what you're playing with at the time. So Ohio State did exactly what they had to do. They got in position to kick a field goal. So, well, I mean, you know, again, LSU Sports Fanatic, thanks for tuning in, my man. As an LSU fan, I appreciate you watching. Giving Georgia the timeout on the fake field goal. You mean on the fake actually punt is when it was, not the fake field goal, was bullcrap. But according by the book and the law there in the rule, he got the timeout just before the snap happened. Believe me, as an Ohio State fan, I was sick about it, but I could see it happen just before the snap. So as bad as it stinks, it was what it was. They got the timeout, and that was a call from up top probably that somebody saw. So credit to the Georgia staff up in the booth that noticed something was up there. They were able to call down and get a timeout, and it may have cost them the game, you know, if they don't get that timeout. I mean, they cost them the game at the end. Should have kicked the field goal earlier. Terrible play calling with passing the ball cost them key yardage. Anthony, they didn't lose any yardage late, my man. There was no yardage late. I mean, they had a first down. They were already at the fifth, basically right around the 50-yard line. They ran one pass. They ran a handoff. Okay, and you know, they ran another pass play that C.J. Stroud had to throw out of bounds to avoid the sack. So, you know, I mean, come on. I mean, they didn't. I mean, I don't know what else what else you want them to do there. There was nothing else they could do. That was as good as you could do it in 54 seconds and 2 timeouts. Listen, I told you, 54 seconds, 2 timeouts to get in position to kick a field goal against, remember, Georgia's vaunted defense. Okay, they were able to do it. That's all you could ask for as a fan. Get in position to kick a field goal. Ohio State had the chance, and that's exactly what they did. So it just didn't go in. 50-yard field goals are not automatic. Well, here's a guy here from Georgia. Again, Buckeyes played out of their minds. Stroud was incredible tonight. Y'all were the team I didn't want my dogs to play. That game is why. And so here's at least a reasonable fan, okay? He knew that if there was one matchup he didn't want to have, it was going to be Ohio State, because whether or not you guys know, Georgia was ranked number 1 against the run. Does anybody know out there what they were ranked against the pass? 51st, okay? 51st in the country. That's why Ohio State was able to do what they did. And remember, you lose Marvin Harrison, who was gashing him all game, all right? So, listen, hey, it is what it is, but I appreciate your comment, my man. Good luck in the national championship game. Again, they talked about the semifinals always being bad, blowouts, this and that. Listen, fans of college football, what they saw today was absolutely one of the best semifinal games, both sets of games today. That was just outstanding. You couldn't ask for anything more than that. Absolutely. So, Jeremiah, one of my fans, Jeremiah, thanks for coming on again. It was a tough one tonight. You're like myself. You're a Buckeye to the core. We live and die by it. But, they came up a little bit short. And so, you move on. But, Jeremiah, thanks for always tuning in, my man, and listening to the breakdowns, listen to my analysis. It's my opinion. Remember, this is my opinion. My opinion is not the rule, okay? It is my opinion. You all may have a different opinion on things. This is my opinion on how I see it, okay? Now, at times, I can't remember everything. I'm watching it live. I'm trying to recap everything in my head. That's why I got to write stuff down. So, but Jeremiah, appreciate it. Always tuning in, my man. Anthony, I just said it. Harrison was. He was bludgeoning them. The plays that Stroud and what the offensive line did tonight, was outstanding for them. Okay, so there's one segment I'd like to go over here, guys, real quick with you. I call it the highs and the lows. Really not many lows. One of the lows, though, that was huge tonight that really affected Ohio State was the injuries. Okay. You're already going into the game handicapped because you don't have Travion Henderson. I can't use Smith and Jigba because, guys, we didn't have them all year. All right, so you can't use Jackson as an excuse. But Travion Henderson with the broken foot, having to get foot surgery. Now Georgia could say, "Well, we were missing Nolan Smith." Well, guess what? That's just one guy on defense, if I'm not mistaken. But Travion Henderson is a huge part of what Ohio State does offensively. I mean, when you have Xavier Johnson having to take handoffs, you have Dallin Hayden, who is a true freshman, having to run the football the way that he did tonight. That just shows you how bad Ohio State was injury-wise, okay? So the injuries were absolutely a huge point, and unfortunately, really, the injuries are probably what derailed Ohio State's season, if you ask me. They've got 2 losses on the year, and, the injuries were certainly one of the major cogs on why Ohio State failed to win or get at least to play in the national championship. And tonight was really a microcosm of that. Like I said, losing Harrison early in the third, and you lost Cade Stover in the first half. And again, you got a kid, Joe Royer, who's got to play that hardly saw any snaps all year. One of the other lows of the game that I thought was, Ohio State's inability to stop big plays again. They got Georgia behind the sticks on several occasions, and Georgia was able to make plays, to get first downs, and especially the one late where they were down 11, and Lathan Ransom falls down. I mean, again, that has nothing to do with defensive coverage. That has to do with an individual losing his footing, and He goes down. It leads to a touchdown. Ohio State still could have had a chance, though, to stop the 2-point play. They give it up. Now you're in the ball game. So really, guys, that's really the couple lows. I mean, the highs could be numerous. I mean, starting with the offensive line. Everyone talks about Georgia again, how I said it. Georgia's unbelievable defense, okay, what they do on that defensive line. Stroud was sacked tonight 3 times. He was sacked early, and then he had one sack where there was a misread by Mitch Rossi, and then the other sack happened later in the game as well. Okay, those were absolute full all-out kitchen-sink blitzes by Georgia the 2 times they got to him. 2 out of the 3 anyway. All right, but all in all, Ohio State's offensive line kept C.J. Stroud upright the entire night. That's why he was able to have the game that he had. That's why they were shredding them offensively through the air, which I figured, and then Ryan Day also figured that was the way they were going to have to move the ball against Georgia. You just can't line up and run the football. Georgia, some of Georgia sports talk people even had said it. They said if Ohio State tries to establish the run, it will be absolutely put them in the coffin. They'd have no chance. And I understand people want to have balance. You got to have a little bit of balance. But guess what? Tonight was one of them nights where you only got to run it when you can run it a few times. But for the most part, it was going to be on the receivers and C.J. Stroud. And again, for the most part, it was almost there. They had their opportunity, and that's, again, how many times you got to hear me say it? They had the chance to do it when they could. So the offensive line, absolutely outstanding tonight for Ohio State. Stroud, outstanding. The receivers, they were outstanding tonight. And these guys that stepped up, like I said, Dallin Hayden, who comes in. I mean, they talked about Mayan Williams being sick all week with the flu bug. Who knows? Again, that was a high ankle sprain, guys. And I'm telling you, those things, they just take long and they linger and they linger and they linger. So who knows what his situation was. But you got to give Dallin Hayden credit. He came in. I mean, he only had 43 yards. He only had 9 carries. But still, he did what he could. And Xavier Johnson, the Swiss Army knife, did a great job. Joe Royer coming in place of Cade Stover. Cade Stover is someone, you heard what they said. He's a farmer, man. When it was ice cold, he's out there taking care of calves on the farm, okay? That's how tough he is. So if he couldn't come back, he was hurting. So there was a lot of guys that stepped up for this Ohio State team tonight, and unfortunately, they just came up 1 point short. It will definitely be a hard one to swallow, as I've said. So, in closing here, basically, let's look at it this way. So Ohio State season comes to an end. They finished 11-2. Our rivals up north, they're out, okay? They took it on the chin today from TCU. So at least we don't have to sit there and watch them play in the national championship game. How much would you hate to see that? But, again, they do have the one leg, though. They're 2-time straight Big Ten champs. They've beaten Ohio State twice now. So they have the they're carrying the crown right now in the conference. All right. So what does Ohio State do? It will be interesting to see after this game. They've already got some players in the portal. There's about 3 of them. So we will have to wait and see if other players elect to go into the portal. What does Ohio State do in the portal themselves? Do they pick up guys from the portal, or what do they do? So it will be an interesting offseason for Ohio State. We will wait and see what takes place, as we said, and you look forward to the spring game sometime in late April.